Hello, online students. Today I'd like to talk to you about an assignment that's not due until Module 9, and that seems like a really long time away, but it will be here before you know it. It's the informative research paper. Now, a lot of times what I see when I get this paper back is that it's not as successful as it could be for many students because they haven't started it quite early enough. So I wanted to talk to you about it today and give you a couple of my expectations for this assignment and encourage you to start thinking about it and researching now so that when you get to the point where you're starting to write, you're not struggling to find something to say and you're not trying to organize so much material that's new to you. So basically this assignment is a 750 to 1200 word informative research essay, which means it's 4 to 6 full pages plus a works cited page. Now that means to the bottom of the fourth page is a minimum. And this is not a persuasive paper. It's also not something that you're recycling from high school or from another college class. And it's possible to sometimes work on this assignment in conjunction with an assignment in another course. So if you get instructor approval in both your English 101 course and say your psychology course or something, you may be able to combine some of your work and turn in a single paper in both classes or a paper that's using the same research but two different papers for the class. So check with your instructors about that if you're interested in that. So what is informative research if it's not a persuasive paper, which is what many of you probably have written? What you're doing here is you're exploring an area of interest and then you're sharing things that are surprising or interesting to you that you learn as a result of doing this research. A good thesis for it tends to be something like, what many people don't realize about this topic is blank, blank, and blank. And then those blanks become the major sections of your paper. You organize and explain that information, you use sources to give examples and definitions and facts, things like that. So in Module 7, you're going to read a really good model for this, which is 2 Miles Up and Falling. It's about skydiving safety improvements over the years, and he does that very well in that paper. So how do you get started with something like this? What I would say is try to find things that you're already curious about, but you don't know a lot about it yet. Look for things like news stories, perhaps politics, history, medicine, science. You can maybe find a topic in other classes, something that makes you basically things that make you wonder why or how something is the way it is. These topics that are really good are ones like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Paul Harvey. He used to do a radio piece called The Rest of the Story, where he would take something that people knew a lot about, and then he would find some interesting thing that wasn't very widely known and sort of give a background to that. Another thing is just do a lot of background reading, things that that give interesting questions to you or give you some kind of an angle where you can sort of bring your own interest to bear on a topic. Now in a later video I intend to do something about kind of showing how college databases work and how I do research with a working outline and annotated bibliography and note-taking. I'll give you some tips on that. But for now what I'd like to leave you with is just sort of the question, what is academic writing? And as I see it, what academic writing is really about is it's a conversation. It's not just showing that you read stuff or you did the assignments. It's not also repeating things that you already know. When we as college teachers assign papers, what we're trying to do in some ways is help change your thinking by the way that you write. If you think about different ideas from different sources and put them together with each other, it'll help you refine your thinking and your understanding, and you'll make connections that you hadn't made before, and it might change your mind about some things. And all this can be really, really fun if you do it right. There's some rules in academic writing, and they're sort of conversation rules, and some of ours involve the use of logic, use of particular kind of reasoning, and using sources that are credible or accepted by the community that we're talking to, which in this case is the academic community. So because of that, not all topics are going to be successful. They're not all going to be fair game. An example, if you think about it, in court, in those kinds of conversations, the use of hearsay is not allowed. It's just one of those rules that you don't do. And so academic essay topics also have rules, and they're the same kind of thing. Actually, really, it's not so much that the topics have rules, but that the types of evidence that you have that are available for certain topics makes them kind of problematic. And so if you steer clear of them, you're more likely to be successful. One of the big ones, as far as topics that involve certain kinds of evidence, is evidence that's dealing with your faith or your religious beliefs. These are really important topics, and we do talk about them all the time in our culture, but we can't really talk about them in an academic setting in quite the same way. If you think about the conversations we have in church about our values and things, and the evidence that we use to back those ideas up is different from the way that we do academic and scientific discussions. So that's one kind of problematic topic. Another one is the kind of topic that really relies on conspiracy theories or anecdotal evidence, evidence from personal experience or from stories that are really kind of a one-off. These aren't considered credible by experts in the field or the academic community, and that's kind of why they're a problem. For example, if you want to do a paper about how crystals cleanse your aura or ESP or something like that, that could be really fascinating. But the problem you're going to find is that the kinds of things you're going to read don't really have evidence that would be credible in the scientific community. They might be observations that the scientific community can't replicate in a controlled setting, and that's why they're a problem. And so they lead to unsuccessful papers. A final problem that I see with some kinds of topics here is when you're taking a topic you're interested in, but there's a position or an argument that is very much attached to it. So if you wanted to do an essay about climate change, for instance, you can do one that is informative, but the problem that you're going to have is many of the sources you read are going to be presenting arguments, and it's really hard not to take a side when you're seeing that all the time. And another thing that often happens with this is people who already have a position will tend to gather information that supports that position, and they're more likely to be critical of information that goes contrary to what they believe. And so both of these things make it very difficult to write those kinds of papers. So what I would say is be really careful if you're going to choose a topic like that. And I would even, ask for your instructor's feedback, maybe email your instructor and run the topic by him or her and see it and listen very carefully to the feedback they give you. And that's more likely to give you a better paper. So thanks for watching this, and I hope it was helpful, and good luck in English 101. I look forward to reading your papers.